We've done two videos on alerting already. We did one video on email alerting and we did one video on Discord alerting. But something that's worth exploring a bit further is the analytics around the reliability of your data pipelines. And that's going to really drive your decision whether or not to refactor a pipeline in order to make your workflows more efficient. You probably don't want to spend hours, days, or weeks duct taping pipelines together. So if you see somewhere in your data that you have like, I don't know, 10 failures per month for a given pipeline, and you're spending like 20, 30 hours trying to debug and duct tape that together, it might be time to decide to refactor that together, because those 20, 30 hours could be reallocated and spent doing like new stuff. So that is just something worth thinking about when you're trying to build in reliability into your systems. So in terms of going with the data-driven approach, we're logging all the run data into a pair of BigQuery tables. So we've got two tables here. One for logging run triggers that are happening. So every time a pipeline executes, we're going to insert a new record into the triggers table. And then whenever a pipeline fails, we're going to insert a record into the failure table. And you can join these two tables together and do some analytics to find out, what is the reliability rate of a given Python script. And that's going to be very handy. So we bundled all this logic inside the alerting library because I thought it's a pretty nice place to put it. So that's what we've done. So let's just navigate there. And I'll just start off here with this environmental config that gets loaded when you initialize your script. Something that we added here is a run ID. So whenever you trigger a Python script, it's going to generate a global UUID for that specific script run. And it's going to be very important for you to log that data inside your triggers table. And when a failure eventually happens, when that data point gets logged inside the failures table, you'll be able to join those two things together. So we've got some very basic data modeling embedded in there, and that's going to be very handy. And then we move down here in terms of collecting the metadata that's going to be stored in those BigQuery tables eventually. So we've got one function for collecting data on the failures that are happening. And then we got another function for collecting data when a pipeline gets triggered. And the most distinct difference that you're going to see here is mainly the timestamps. So you can measure, how long did the pipeline run before failing. That could be very useful information when trying to decide whether or not to refactor it or not. So that's something worth considering. So other than collecting the metadata itself, we're going to go down to, we obviously need to create the schemas for the BigQuery datasets. So inside this create BigQuery function, we're creating two different tables. We're creating a table for runs triggered, and we're creating a table for runs that are failed with their respective schemas, of course. And you want to make sure that these tables are created before you're executing your pipelines. Otherwise, you're not going to be collecting any metadata for your runs or for your failures. So it's very key that you have this installed into your BigQuery environment before running your pipelines. And then we just need a couple of methods to append the records into the tables. So we got one method here for appending data into the triggers dataset, and then we got another method here for appending the failed runs into the runs failed dataset. And you might say it's a bit redundant to have two different functions here. You could bundle this into one thing, but who cares? Who cares? So we got our methods for appending data into the tables, and we got our global accept hook. So we need to modify the default error handling capability. So as mentioned before, with the emails and for the Discord messages, we call this an alerting system for BigQuery. So as long as the BQ string is inside that environmental variable, we'll be calling this function to append the data into the failed BigQuery dataset, and that is how we're collecting the failed run data. So there you go. And that's it for the alerting functionality for BigQuery. We'll go back into our test script because it's all doing the same business for testing purposes. So it's the same as before. We're importing the alerting library to get the functionality. We got our boilerplate stuff that we need at the very beginning to make sure that we have the right functionality available to us. And then because we're working in the dev environment, we're making sure that BQ is the place that we're logging to, which we have here. And we've got email and Discord disabled at the moment. So we should only anticipate a BigQuery trigger to be happening. And then most importantly is we need to overwrite the default error handling behavior. So we're accessing the sysaccept hook, and we're taking the global accept hook from the alerting library and just overriding that behavior. So now we should be able to append records into those BigQuery tables whenever a failure occurs. And in this testing script, we just make sure that those data sets are created. And then this is some more boilerplate. So when you trigger the Python script, we automatically append a trigger into the table. So that's very important if you want to understand how many times a script gets run over the course of time. And then once we get down to here, we create our manual failure condition. So once we trigger the failure, we will be triggering our global accept hook and thus appending the failed run data into the failed BigQuery table. So what we'll do in a second is let's just query the table just to see what's inside the failed runs. So let's see, is there anything for today? Okay, so no failed runs today. So what we're going to do is we're going to execute that test script and just see if new data gets appended into the failure table. So let's have a look. So need to activate my environment. Okay, had a little stumble there. Just had to change my GCP project in my CLI to the correct one. So now it's correct. We're just going to run the script now. Oops. And it should work now, hopefully. So just making sure that those pipeline monitors exist, which they do. And now we're going to trigger the error in a moment, which we have. So you can see we appended a trigger, a run into the triggers table, and then we triggered a failure. So now if we query this failure table, we should see a new record get appended here, which we do. Oh, we also got like a 409. Okay, that's interesting. Well, no idea what a 409 is, but there you go. But you can see for the most recent run that we've just executed for, we can see that we got the division by zero error. It happened just now. And I think overall this is going to be a very useful way of being very data driven when deciding when to refactor a pipeline, when it's wasting too much of your time trying to duct tape things together. So yeah, hope you find this useful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.